Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Greg and welcome back to the channel. In today's project, I'm going to show you exactly how I built this office desk. And we're going to start off by laying all our pieces of wood on a flat surface so we can choose the best side to face up and the not better side to face down. We are designing and custom building this office desk for one of our clients, so they are requesting specific measurements, and the wood we obviously got from our suppliers is slightly bigger than the desk we're going to build. And the specific wood species we're using for this project is sourced from Africa, mostly South Africa. And the wood species is called MacLeod. It's an extremely beautiful wood. It's got beautiful grains and beautiful colors, and it's all around a very popular wood to use for furniture in the country where I'm from. My next step in building my desk is just cutting the loose ends off the ends of my timbers that's just too long, and I'm not going to cut my timber now to its final size. I am cutting my timbers a little bit bigger than the original size we're going to build our desk. And yes, I know I might get a ton of comments asking why am I pushing my miter saw at the end so hard. Well, basically I made a very stupid mistake by buying a blade that's 5mm smaller. So I did order a new one, I'm just waiting for it. I did previously mention that we're building the table a little bit bigger and then we're going to cut it to its final size. So this is just the example. Our finished size for the table is going to be 1.8 meters long, and I'm making it 10mm bigger, so at the end I can cut 5mm off both sides. Also, very important step in doing your biscuit joints is to mark your wood so it's in that specific order once you're going to pack them to do your glue up. Starting off by marking exactly where you want to cut for your biscuits, I am using a square and I am going as close as possible to the edge, and then I'm marking about 400 mils apart from each biscuit and making sure my table is very strong at the end of my project. I just want to take this time to thank everyone for the massive support we're receiving on the YouTube channel. At DIY with Greg, I honestly see each and every comment and I am responding to basically all of them, or I will like them, or I will hit the little heart button just to say thanks for the massive support. And if you haven't already and you want to support the channel and you want to learn more how to DIY, subscribe to our channel. If you are already subscribed, you can like this video. It honestly just helps the channel to grow and it helps me to produce future content. Thanks guys. Now we're going to move on by cutting all our pockets for the biscuits we need to install, and the advice I can give you in doing this step is just taking an off-cut piece of wood that's coming from the same timber you're going to use for your project, and make sure the biscuit you're cutting is exactly in the center of the wood you're going to use for your projects. Moving on to the glue up part of this project, I am making sure that I am applying glue into all the pockets, and one side I apply glue to the complete surface. Well, I'm not really shy with the glue. I'm just thinking the more glue you put, the better your glue up will be and the stronger your table will be. So don't be shy with the glue, and once you start clamping all your pieces together, well, I just believe once you start with your clamping process, you need to see a lot of squeeze out of the glue. So there's a lot of glue that needs to come out when you're doing your clamping. And normally when I insert my biscuits into the pockets, I just add a little bit of glue on top of them and I just give them the small whackaroo just to make sure they are sitting very tightly into the pockets I cut for my desk. And if you don't know this, but biscuits obviously is there to make sure that you have a very strong bond in between all your pieces of timber, but biscuits are also there to help align your timbers, to make sure that the one timber is not sitting above the other timbers or lower than the other timber. So it's basically helping to align your timbers and making the sanding process much easier. This is the part I was mentioning previously. When you're clamping all your pieces of wood together, you need to see that there's a lot of glue squeezing out in between all the joints. And this is what I said previously. I am not too shy for using too much wood glue. Just use as much as you can. You can always just sand the wood glue off afterwards, so just use as much as you can. Now I'm just using a scraper to remove most of the wood glue. And another tip I want to share with you: when you're going to do a glue up, you're going to use your horizontal T-bar clamps to clamp all your pieces of timber together. But I always add an additional piece of steel square tubing on top of my table. On both sides and in the center, I'm clamping them down to make sure my table surface is 100% level. Coming back the next day, I am going to remove my clamping system, and then it's time to move on to the next step. I'm going to start off by sanding my table with a belt sander and 80 grit sandpaper. This is just to remove all the wood glue and most of the imperfections on the surface, and making the sanding process go much easier from there when you're going to start with your orbital sander. When I finished with the bottom side of my table, I am going to cut my desk top to its final size, and by doing this I'm going to fasten my desk to the steel frame we manufactured. And then I'm going to apply masking tape right around on the steel section, so my router is not going to damage my steel. Then I'm going to use a flush trim bit and going right around my frame, and my frame is basically going to form the straight edge of my table. Using my flush trim bit, it's going to make sure that the wooden top of this table is going to sit 100% square with the steel frame we built. Now that my desk top has been cut to its final size, I'm going to start with the sanding process. I'm going to use my orbital sander, and I'm going to start off with 100 grit sandpaper. Then I'm going to move on to 120 grit, 150 grit, and then ultimately finishing my table with 180 grit sandpaper. And to give my table a very luxurious look, I am going to give it a small chamfer using my 45-degree router bit, and I'm going to router both sides of my table. And I've got floating shelves I also built off camera, and this is just going to give my table a nice smooth slick look. And for this specific project, I am going to use Rubio Monocoat. And as you saw in most of our previous videos, Rubio Monocoat is one of our go-to oils when it comes to designing and manufacturing our furniture. And this is going to be all for today, guys. I honestly hope you learned something, and please leave me a comment down below. What do you think of this desk? And remember, before you go, like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you next week with the next project. Thanks guys, cheers for now.